Hey there, welcome back to Walk with Grace. This week is episode 6. I'm honestly shocked we've made it this far. Thank you for clicking in. Thank you for watching and being here with me. Today I want to talk about patience and how patience is an act of worship. It's something that I am really in the middle of learning. I have not perfected this at all, and I actually get quite impatient with God, and that is what made me be kind of like, wait, this has to be wrong. There's just a lot in patience that I want to talk about because it actually leads into a lot of different things that is going to help your relationship with God. And again, I'm in the middle of this. I am not there yet. In fact, this week I've honestly been terrible. Not going to mass, just not praying. I don't want to pray. I honestly don't want to be here talking about God. I'm fighting through and I'm showing up because discipline matters, and I talked a big talk about discipline and how it's important, so here I am. But I will say that my patience with God is pretty thin right now, which is not something I'm proud of, but it is true, and it's why I'm sitting here trying to discuss it and learn, because that's what I promised we would do here. We were going to learn together. The first thing I want to talk about is how patience shows that we trust that God is in control of our lives, because needless to say, we aren't, as much as we claim to be and want to be. We have no say in how things are going to go. So when we rush into things, like for me, sometimes I'll rush into an episode of Walk with Grace, or I'll rush into something and I won't be planned, and then the product is therefore not as good as it could have been. You know, like I didn't have a lot of time editing last week, and I edited it so that there's like, I say the same sentence twice in a row and I didn't even catch it because I was in a rush. And it's just like little things like that you can make something beautiful in a rush. I'm not saying that that's not true, but it could be as close to perfect as you as a human can get it if you just are patient and let God work with you and follow his timing and just follow his timeline. When we rush, we're trusting our time more than God's. Waiting forces us to surrender control to God. So, for example, I'm going to use Walk with Grace again. I really wish I had something else, but I want this podcast to be successful, and me waiting, showing up every week and saying how I'm doing with my relationship with God and trying to learn with you, that is hard because there's no instant gratification there. Honestly, because this feels not embarrassing, but I'm really putting myself out there, and there's zero instant gratification coming from that except for me knowing that I've honored God in my conversation. And while that is a beautiful thing, my humanness really craves that instant gratification and it is not getting it. So yeah, it's been tough, but listen, I'm here. So I want to point to Proverbs 3:5. Trust wholeheartedly in the Lord. Put no faith in your own perception. In every course you take, have him in mind. He will see that your paths are smooth. When you put your faith into your own perception, you're going to be judgmental. You're going to not want to do things because your body is lazy naturally. Well, at least mine is. And you're going to lack discipline because you don't realize the importance of discipline, because you're following your own body and your own mind. You're going to lead yourself into sin. You're going to not feel the consequences of that, so you're going to keep hurting other people. And you're just going to rush into things. You're not going to be using the Lord as your counselor, so you're going to be making rushed bad decisions and uninformed decisions and decisions that aren't going to honor your heart and your life plan, because you don't know your life plan yet. You can plan a million things for your life and God is going to be like, well, that's not what I want though, and he's going to do what he wants to do with your life. And that's not to say when things go wrong in your life that that's God's like that God has done that. In fact, it says that God doesn't test you, and that is from Satan, or it's your own self. We've discussed that in Is It Satan or Is It Me? Check out that episode if you haven't already. So in every course you take, have him in mind. He will see that your paths are smooth. So God wants to work with you. He doesn't want to create this random destination for your life or this random pathway for your life. He wants to build it with you in mind. His life plan for you has you in mind. He has created you in the exact ways, in the exact flaws. He's made you uniquely you. He is trying to build your life with you so that you're happy and that he's honored. So whatever you do in your life, as long as you have him in mind and you're keeping him involved in the process, then that plan will play out. And if something isn't right, you'll figure that out together. You'll find out in prayer, you'll find out through things just not working out, and you'll have to be like, oh, let's redirect. And sometimes rejection is redirection. I've seen that definitely somewhere, maybe online somewhere, but I've definitely seen that before, and that is so true. Like, God, he doesn't want to hurt you. He's not saying no to hurt you or out of spite or anything like that. It's just not for you, and just not right now. It's not that it never will happen. It's not that it's never gonna be in your life, but it's just not for right now. And that's okay. That's where we have our faith in the Lord and faith in God's plan. We just need to trust in him wholeheartedly. Whatever he wants to do in your life, just surrender that to him. Surrender your life to him. And like, I say this every single time I sit in this chair, but you cannot fail when you just trust God and when you have that faith. There literally nothing can go wrong. Another thing to note is that God sees the full picture and we just see the moment. So we could be trying to control something or feeling very strongly about a certain situation, and we want to act emotionally, or we want to leave a job or make a big decision, right? And we need an emergency big decision because this is upsetting me, or I need to figure this out. The best thing that you can do in that moment when you're like rushing and you think you don't have time is to sit. Give yourself, it could even be 20 minutes. I promise you can spare 20 minutes to sit with God and be like, what do I do? Surrender it to him. And the result of that 20 minutes with God is going to serve you better than an hour running around frantically, not knowing what you're doing, trying to figure it out. Like, God sees the entire story. He sees everything that's going to happen as a butterfly effect from that decision, whether you make the right choice or the wrong choice, whatever, from lived experience and being the person running around being like, what do I do? Not asking the only person who knows how to help me. And I've ended up making the wrong decision, and I've ended up having to live with that consequence, and it is what it is. That's when you go back to God and be like, okay, well, I'm in this now, so how are we going to figure that out together? So it's never too late to bring him in either. Even if you have made a rash decision or an emotional decision, it's never too late to be like, okay, I need backup here. What do I do? I've messed up. And it doesn't have to be, I feel like I'm making that sound quite dramatic. It genuinely could be the decision to indulge in too much food, or it could be the decision to have a sweet treat after dinner or something like it. Like, it doesn't need to be this dramatic big life decision. I just mean involving him in the little things, and just showing that we have our trust in God and not in ourselves, because we cannot trust ourselves, because we can be selfish, we can be emotional, we can be rash. We are unreliable narrators in our own story. So we see things from our point of view, but it doesn't make us right just because it's our side of the story. And I think sometimes I can get caught up in that as well, like being like, well, I know how I felt in that situation, so I was right. But I have no idea how they felt in any sort of situation like that. And to just blindly trust that you were correct is just kind of crazy, to be honest. You need to ask God to convict you and to trust in his will, because he saw my heart and the other person's heart in that situation. And he knows, and he will guide you in what direction you should be going in. And I think that's very important, to always draw it back to God, even if in the moment you didn't go there first. But I think we should all be aiming to be going there first, and to not be making any major decisions, minor decisions, without God involved in the process. So another point on that is that waiting is faith in action. An example of that would be even in the gym, when you're working out in the gym and you're waiting for the results and you want that instant gratification, you want that instant, like, where's my pump, where's my muscles, I just lifted 10 kg. You're not going to build that muscle in a way that you'll be able to physically see. You'll be able to maybe feel it in a week, but you won't be able to see that result for like a month, maybe even longer. I'm not overly well versed in the gym world, but I feel like you'd be able to feel that gain in like a week, and you'll be getting stronger quick, and you'll be like, oh, I'm lifting that weight good. And then you're like, but I can't see that in the mirror when I go home. Where is that muscle? And I think that putting your trust in God in patience and having patience with him is kind of like that, where you know that if you show up every day, every week, you're showing up, you're doing what you need to do, you're following your plan, you're going to eventually see that physically transform your body. In the same way that that patience is going to transform your spirit, and you're spiritually going to be in the best shape of your life. In the same way that when you go to the gym and have that discipline every week, or every day, I don't know how often you go to the gym, you are going to physically see that in the same way that if you're showing up with God and being like, what should we do? Involving him in all the small decisions in your life, you are going to be in the best shape of your life spiritually. It's only going to get easier. It's not going to get harder as you go on. Before we move on to my next point, I want to leave you with a question. Where in your life are you trying to rush God? Ask yourself that, maybe note it down and journal to yourself later this evening whenever you have time. Give yourself time to think about that. Am I rushing God in anywhere? Am I doing something that maybe I need to sit with God? That's my only bit of homework for you. Just sit and have that time with the Lord, and just sit and ask him, where do you want me to slow down? Waiting is where God forms our character. So God cares more about who we become while waiting than what we're actually waiting for. So God cares about your heart. He cares about your heart posture and what that looks like inside. He doesn't care what your goal is. He doesn't care. I mean, of course he does, but I mean that his goal isn't your goal. His goal is to transform your heart and to transform your life, to honor him and live like him and just follow God, follow Jesus and follow the word, so that you can go into heaven. Because God knows more than anyone that this life is temporary, and that there is a lot more out there than just this life. And it's important that we live this life well and live this life honoring God, because that's what it tells us in the Bible. But what I mean is that you focusing so hard on that end goal, you're like, oh, I really, really want to be a CEO of a company, right? God doesn't care about your job title, respectfully. He doesn't. But he does care about your heart in that position, and how you're going to lead that company and how you've gotten there. So did you mess up a bunch of people to get there? Were you cruel on the way up? God will care about that. Were you building a relationship with him on your way up? These are the things God is looking for. God is looking for your heart. Where is your heart? What is your heart focused on? Is it focused on the money of being a CEO, or how you can then control how good the company is as a company? Is it going to help people in need? Is it going to have various charity organizations kind of helping out? Are you going to donate, etc., etc.? How are you going to deal with having that position? That is what God cares about. I want to point us to James 1:3-4. You understand that your faith is only put to the test to make you patient, but patience too is to have its practical result, so that you will become fully developed, complete, with nothing missing. So your patience in the Lord, your patience with the Lord and his plan for your life is going to make you a complete person, because you are going to build that faith and that trust in Jesus and with Jesus. And it's a beautiful relationship, like having that just trust, like I trust God. Having that in your life is going to complete you, because you are not going to get anxious, you're not going to get stressed. Jesus says, forgive me, I don't know what it's from, but he says, worrying will not add an hour to your life. It's like the one thing that I carry with me all the time, is that my worry is not going to make me get through it any quicker. It's not going to make me get there faster. It's not going to make me do it better. It's just going to be stressful. Like I'm just going to be worried during because I'm going to do it anyway. So why am I worried? And I also have my trust in the Lord, so I know that no matter what I do and no matter how I try and do it, the only thing that's going to help me is my faith in Jesus. So I think the bottom line, that what I'm trying to say here, is that the waiting seasons are formation seasons, and that they can be very difficult, and that you can be sitting there like, Lord, can we please, like, let's make this a bit faster. Like, I've been waiting ages and I've been good. Can we please just get this going? But in doing that, it can be quite painful when he's like, no, not yet, you're not ready. Because it can be kind of humbling as well if he's just like, no, you're not ready. You're not there yet. And you can be certain you are, and that you are ready for that, whatever it may be. But it produces a spiritual maturity, because you have just an abundance of faith in Jesus, an abundance of trust in the Lord that he will show up at the right time for you. And having that patience and not losing your cool either. Like, sometimes I find myself being like, Lord, can we please, like, this is embarrassing. Like, can we just hurry this up? But no, my faith in Jesus is carrying me through. It is allowing me to be patient and trusting in him, and just letting him do what he wants with my life, whatever that may be. And yeah, I think that's a really, really beautiful thing. And I want to show you Romans 5:3-4. But that is not all we can boast about. We can boast about our sufferings. These sufferings bring patience, as we know, and patience brings perseverance, and perseverance brings hope. So ultimately, when we have our patience with Jesus, we are hoping that he will show up for us at the end, because he's showing up throughout in all the ways he needs to be, other than the final result. So if that's, let's go back to our CEO example, if that's you becoming the CEO, he's showing up for you in the way that you got hired into the company. You got the job interview, you got the job. Now you've gotten a promotion a couple years down the line. There's another promotion. You don't go from intern to CEO straight out of college. Like, there's a way to do it, and there's a process, and the Lord is with you throughout that entire thing. Having that patience will provide you with the hope that you need to get on with life, because it's very debilitating to get caught up in what you're not being given, and if that's what you're focused on, and if that's not if you're not focusing on your gratefulness for that, you're going to get lost in it, and you're going to just completely lose yourself in the sadness of not getting what you want yet. Do you want to be facing Jesus at the end of your time? Are you going to stand in front of Jesus and be proud of how you got there? Or are you going to be like, oh, should have done that differently? Because I think that is what you need to slow down and ask yourself, would I be proud of this to stand in front of Jesus at the end of my life and say, yes, I did that. And I'm proud I did that. And I think that will tell you a lot. I'm very humbled by that, because like, there's a lot of things in my life that I'm like, okay, but like, I want it now though, but I need to save, I need to be in a better position, I need to finish college. Like, there are just so many things that I need to do and figure out and organize in my life before I can have the things that I really want, because I have to work for them. I can't just like get them. But I'm very impatient, and I want things now, and that's something I'm really sitting with God about right now, is just like, give me some patience, please. Show me how to put my faith in you, and that's why, again, I'm here. And moving on from that now, I want to talk about patience as an act of worship. Worship isn't just going to mass, it's how we live and trust in God in our everyday lives. It's not just, oh, I go to mass on a Sunday, I have faith in God. It's actually showing up every day in front of Jesus and saying, thank you for giving me an opportunity to make money, for a better life, to be able to afford things I enjoy. And it's about our heart posture in that as well, in a sense where we don't want to be sitting in front of God being like, please give me this, please give me that, please show up for me in this way. Thank him for what he is doing. I think that if you shift your focus onto the gratitude in your life, something that has changed the game completely for me in my prayer life is I've started to thank God before I even think about asking about anything. And I think that that's really important. I think to go into prayer with a grateful heart and a grateful attitude is super helpful, because then you're a lot more focused on what you actually need, because your heart kind of already, by the way, before I even go any further, God knows what you need before you even ask for it. Just putting that out there. He knows what's on your heart, he knows what's on your mind, and he knows what you need and when you need it. Hence patience, and hence him saying no sometimes. But I think that it's just super important to thank God and to focus on a grateful mind and heart, because if you're focused on the ways that the Lord is providing for your life, then you're a lot more inclined to be like, well, he showed up for me here, what's to say he's not going to show up here? Because nothing is impossible for God. That's also something I forget. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm asking too much. I know I am. Nothing is impossible to God. He literally created the entire world, and he created you specifically for a mission and a purpose, and it's up to you to find that with him and explore that with him. Waiting with faith glorifies God, because patience says, God, you are worth trusting. Jesus looked at us and said, you are worth dying for. I think the least that we can do is look at God and say, you are worth trusting. And I say that with kind of emotionally, actually. With Easter coming up, I'm like really thinking about just the pain that Jesus had to go through just for us to be saved. And I'm gonna watch The Passion of the Christ, and I think that I recommend that to everyone this weekend, if you have time, to just watch what Jesus actually endured for our lives to be saved. I think it is just heartbreaking, but it is the least that we can do as people who have been saved, is to trust in God and to trust in his timing, because he didn't make Jesus die when he was 10. He didn't make Jesus make that sacrifice when he was not even 30, not even 32. It had to be when he was 33, and it had to unfold in the way that it did. He could have risen after one day. God made him wait 3 to rise again. There is waiting in everything, and there is purpose for the waiting. So much happens in the waiting. That's where your faith and your life is transformed, and that's where your trust in the Lord will change your heart, and where you will become the person you're supposed to become. It's not about the end goal, it's about the process, and it's about enjoying the process and becoming as Christ-like as you can. But those who hope in the Lord renew their strength.
But those who hope.
I've just gotten sick out of nowhere. Please ignore my voice as I try to read this to you. I'm so sorry, I don't know what just happened. This is Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord renew their strength. They put out wings like eagles. They run and do not grow weary, walk and never tire. So I think what this is trying to say is that every time you put your hope and your faith in the Lord, he will give you the strength to keep going. Every time you say, Jesus, I have hope that you're going to show up for me, he says, okay, then I will show up for you. And it says, they run and do not grow weary, walk and never tire. You can never do enough when you're doing it for the Lord. You can never, I say that as I didn't want to do this, but I am here and I have energy, and I actually have more energy now than I did at the start, because I'm talking about God and I'm honoring God, and I'm bringing all the focus onto God, and that is showing me how he's working in my life through my own stories and through my own experiences. It's like a highlight reel when I'm doing this. It's amazing in the way that he shows up, and you can never tire when you're working for Jesus, because he's going to give you renewed energy, renewed spirit. And I think that is so easy to overlook, and it's also very easy to be like, oh, I feel terrible, I don't want to do this, and then you won't do it. You'll let your body win, and then you'll miss what Jesus would have had in store for you. For example, at the weekend, I didn't want to get up for mass at 9:30. I wanted to have a lie-in. But then I missed that mass and I didn't get to go to mass because I was busy then in the evening. So I just didn't go to mass at the weekend. And I just really think that is such a shame, because I would have grown spiritually. I would have grown closer to Jesus. I would have heard his teachings for that day. And I just think that selfish decision to stay in bed longer ended up hurting my relationship with God in the long run. And I think that's just, it's horrible. That's not on. And it's all because I was selfish in my desire for more sleep, when if I just trusted in the Lord, I would know that I won't tire if I'm following him. Finally, I just want to say that worship happens when we choose trust over anxiety. So when we are feeling anxious or rushed about something, and we can either sit there and decide to be like, oh dear, I need to make a decision. What am I going to do? I don't know what to do. You can do that. Or you can worship God and bring it to him, and he will calm you down, and you'll be able to see things clearly, and he will show you what he wants you to do. This is Matthew 6:27. Can any of you, for all his worrying, add 1 single hour to his span of life? This is what I was talking about earlier. Jesus is saying not to worry and to have faith and trust in the Lord, because you will not add a single second to your life through worry at all. It will not serve you. It's only going to stress you out. And that doesn't serve anyone, because when you're stressed, you don't even feel like you can have or give that time to Jesus. And Jesus is the only person that is going to be able to calm you down and show you what you need to do. And so it's through Jesus quite literally telling us not to worry, and that it's not going to add a single hour to our day, that the worship happens in choosing that trust. And you trust in his word, you trust in his plan for your life, and you just trust in him that everything is going to be okay. My final point for today is God's timing is perfect. What feels like delay to us is divine alignment, and we need to trust that the Lord is working to align things perfectly to end up where he wants us to be. And sometimes a delay in that can feel kind of hard, because you feel like you're working very hard towards something and you're not seeing any results. Again, with that instant gratification, I think with a lot of things, especially with like TikTok and things like that, like I feel like everyone just always wants instant gratification, and I think it's really important that we just need to slow down, involve the Lord in the decision making, and see what he wants us to do. And when you feel like you're working really hard towards something and he's just not showing up for you in the way that you're hoping, it doesn't mean that he's not there. It just means that he's just telling you not yet. Just, you're not ready yet. And God's timing protects us from stepping into things too early, or accepting a weight or a burden that isn't ours to carry just yet. Not yet. I mean, being the CEO of a company, that's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot to carry there. And you need to build yourself up, and Jesus needs to build you up to be able to withhold and withstand that pressure. And so he doesn't want you to step into that role too early. And I think that is just so important to remember, that sometimes the delay isn't a punishment. He's just making sure you're ready. So if it hasn't happened yet in your life, whatever you're hoping for, whatever you really, really want, God is still preparing you, and you need to be with God in this time, because it's a time of formation, and God is forming you to be the person that you were meant to be, and he's building you up with everything that you need, all the tools that you need. I just want to leave you with Galatians 6:9. We must never get tired of doing good, because if we don't give up the struggle, we shall get our harvest at the proper time. So this basically is just saying that if we keep doing the good, even though it can be the harder thing to do, to keep fighting, keep disciplined, that we will get our harvest at the proper time. I think the keynote is at the proper time. God is forming you. You're in the middle of a beautiful process. And we all are in the middle of a beautiful process. And to give up on yourself and on God too early would be a real shame. So stay fighting, stay disciplined, and stay enjoying the process. Stay close to the Lord. God bless you. See you next week. Thank you so much for your time.